So Rosie, it's been several years since you wrote and I edited Future Pull. And I have to tell you, sometimes when I tell people about that book, the title, and they look at me and say, yeah, well, what's that? So can you talk a little bit about what Future Pull means?
Yeah, some people roll their eyes at me when I give them the title. So,
Okay, well,
so I get it. So I figured out how to ground that a little bit. So for me, Future Pull is an inner invitation to do something that is beyond my comfort zone.
Ooh.
Beyond my comfort zone. So Future Pull for me is like a wild card. So I think I've got my life planned, continuity is there, and then I'm aware that there's this inner invitation to go beyond what I think I'm capable of either doing or becoming. And that's Future Pull. And I'm not really, I don't think, I wouldn't describe me as efficient, but I do believe in being energetically efficient. And when I pay attention to Future Pull, I'm more efficient.
Oh. Okay.
How's that?
Okay. So can you give me an example of how Future Pull works?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I can give you a great example, and you're part of it.
Ooh.
So let's go back 4 decades. 41, 42 years ago.
Oh, I know what you're thinking of, and that's 43 years ago.
Thank you. Okay, 43 years ago. That's more than half my life.
Ooh. That's
Right?
scary.
I know. And we're in New York,
Right?
and it's your first year at the Creative Problem Solving Institute, and mine may be 3rd or 4th year. And we're in the cafeteria, and we're sitting across from one another, and I look at you and say, come to my workshop this afternoon, in a pretty dictatorial.
Actually, what you said, because I remember
Okay,
clearly,
all right.
was you're supposed to be
Yeah, that's
in
probably true.
my workshop this afternoon.
Yeah, that's probably
and
true.
I thought, oh, really? I didn't know who you were.
And I have never done that before or since. And I was surprised, actually, when it came out. It's like, Rosie, what are you doing? And you came, and it was a journaling workshop.
Right.
And in retrospect, I recognize that that is an example of Future Pull. It's something that I did in the present, had no idea of what would evolve, had no idea of what the meaning of that invitation would be. It ripens over time. So that's an example of Future Pull.
So that got me started on the consistent journaling path. I had dabbled with keeping a journal before, but I'd never consistently practiced keeping a journal until that time. And I know from working on it with you for several books that keeping journals for you is an important way to almost begin a book. How do you work, or how did you work when you wrote for Future Pull?
I was going back over journals to find themes.
Right.
And I didn't have the themes connected. I had an intuition themes connected. I had an intuition that something was driving me to do some rather unusual, some would call it crazy, things. And as I was going through my journals, I recognized it was this energy of Future Pull that was really, in some ways, driving me, sometimes inviting me. Mm-hmm. But if I didn't listen, it would get louder. So sometimes I felt like it was driving me. And then didn't know how to end the book. I didn't have future pull as a word or
That's
a
right.
concept.
Right.
Remember, and it was like,
Yeah.
well, how do I end this? And it came to me in the middle of the night, that this was a frequency, an energy, a vibration of future pull that was pulling me into more of being authentic, of being whole, pulling me into a wholeness that if I tried to figure out beforehand, I wouldn't have gotten there.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, I think it does.
Oh my God!
But it seems to me that sometimes you don't understand that. You know, when I started to think about the concept in my own life, it's at the time you don't understand that that's what the dynamic is. It's only looking back.
That was true for me. That was true for me. I only understood. I only understood when it happened in retrospect.
Right.
And that's where I was pulling all those strings together for future pull. But now, because I've been living with it for probably 4 years, I'm aware when future pull is inviting me to move in to a new way of being. I'm really aware of that.
So you spot it closer to the beginning rather than...
I spot it when it's happening.
Okay.
And that's what I mean about energy efficiency. I spot it when it's happening. So and it's about awareness. And I have this appetite for awareness now that I didn't have. And it's like, part of the next book, it is about integrating this awareness of the sacred and awareness of beauty. I think they're actually our seventh and eighth senses, awareness of the sacred. Because that's how oftentimes future pull sounds to me or feels to me. Scary, but there's a sense of the sacred. There's a sense that it's not coming from my head. It's even not coming from my heart. It's coming from my soul. And there's something about beauty that's mixed in there that I haven't lived into, so I can't put words to it.
But it sounds like you're beginning the new book. I knew you were gestating a new book, but it sounds like, so what's the new book going to be about?
The new book's going to be about joy. And it seems preposterous even to me that I'm writing a book about joy in this time of polarization and negativity and cynicism. But I really believe that we are each born with at least one joy gene. And it's like, it's bold. I think it's really bold to risk joy. But I go back to like 20 years ago when we kept gratitude journals.
Right.
Remember, and random acts of kindness.
Yes.
And gratitude journals. And I still have a gratitude journal. But I think joy is an uplift of gratitude and kindness. And I think it's radical and revolutionary to open up and being aware of joy. But when I don't, so the question that I ask myself several times a day is, what is this moment asking of me? And sometimes it's asking me to be quiet, just to be silent. Sometimes it's asking me to write. Sometimes it's asking me to reflect or sculpt or take a walk in the woods. But that is my continual question. It's been that way for about 6 months.
Ooh, that's an interesting way to, yeah, not thought of it.
I'm getting grounded.
Well, there you go.
So it's kind of like, well, how do you ground in joy? And what difference does it make? And I realize that if I go a day or 2 days without tracking joy or being aware of it and noting it, and I'm watching TV and I'm reading my newspaper, my energy goes down. My energy,
Oh, yeah.
my sense of aliveness, my sense of hope, my sense of, my sense of light is diminished. So I think risking joy is huge. And I'm going to write the book even though I think it's preposterous. And I've gone back through 8 years of journals.
Right.
I mean, we did the book together, Harvesting Your
Yes,
Journals.
we did.
I'm still using those principles.
Right,
I've gone back over 8 years and I'm collecting the breadcrumbs.
Okay.
And you know, Rilke, I don't even know which poem this is. It's in the middle of the poem. And here's the quotation. The future enters into us in order to transform itself in us long before it happens.
Ooh, I never
The
heard
future,
that.
yeah, it's the middle of a poem. Sorry, it's the age of my brain.
That's all right.
But the future enters into us in order to transform itself in us long before it happens. He was talking about future pull.
That's true. Yeah, yeah.
He was talking about future. I have that on my mirror in my bathroom and
Jeez,
in my
we should have
bedroom.
had it at the front of the book.
It's mentioned in the book.
Oh, is it? I forgot.
I'll give you the page. So when people say, what is she talking about? You can say, look on page 167. Because yeah, it's there. It's there.
Okay, I didn't remember it, but that's really good. So, it seems to me that the world could use a whole lot more joy now. So I, for one, can't wait to see how this book progresses. And,
Me too.
And so, good for you.
Good for us because you're going to get to edit it.
Gladly, gladly.